With the created lookup data service that implements this iFriendLookup data service interface, we can build the navigation view model. I have already started, and I have a new file here in the view model folder of the UI project that is called navigation view model CS. It contains the navigation view model class. Let me explain you the things I did. As you can see, the class has a constructor that takes an iFriendLookup data service. The lookup service is stored in the field friendLookup service. The constructor also initializes a friends property with a new observable collection of lookup item. You can see the friends property here at the bottom of the class. This friends property will be bound by the navigation view to display the friends. The navigation view model has also this loadAsync method. As you can see, it just calls the getFriendLookupAsync method on the friendLookup service, and it loops through the items and it adds each item to the friends property. Now, to ensure that we can call this loadAsync method multiple times, let's just clear the friends before we loop again over the received friends. Now we need to use this navigation view model inside of the main view model. So let's go to the class, let's press Ctrl- to extract an interface that we call iNavigationViewModel. I don't need the friends property in the main view model, so I uncheck it, but I need to call the loadAsync method from the main view model. So let's confirm to create the interface like this. Now let's go to the bootstrapper to register the navigation view model. Let's just call here builder register type, and we want to register our new navigation view model as an iNavigation view model. Now we can switch over to the main view model and we can use the navigation view model there. Here in the main view model we have all the code that we have written before we decoupled the user interface. We don't need a friends property and we also don't need a selected friend property in the main view model. The loadAsync method looks quite useful, but we don't need that body here. The two fields, the friend data service and the selected friend, are also not required, and the body of the constructor can be wiped out and we don't need that friend data service parameter. So now we have a pretty empty main view model. As a constructor parameter, we take now a new iNavigation view model. And inside of the constructor, we just assign the navigation view model to a navigation view model property. Now we can go to the loadAsync method, and here we call the loadAsync method on the navigation view model. And we just await the call. Now our little main view model with the navigation view model is complete. We can build now a navigation view that binds to the navigation view model property. With the navigation view model property that is available in the main view model, we can build the navigation view. Let's right-click on our UI project and let's add a new folder that we call View. I right-click on that folder and I add a new user control and I call it Navigation View. Now we can implement the user interface. I want to display the SAML code, I don't want to see the designer. In fact, I want this behavior every time. So let's go to Tools, Options, and let's scroll down to SAML Designer. Here we can select the default document view. I don't want to have the split view, I want to see the source. So for each new SAML file we open up, we will see the source and not the designer. Now with the navigation view control defined, we can go to the main window SAML file. In the main window SAML file, we have that list view that is our current navigation. So instead of using the list view, we want to use our navigation view here. So let's add a namespace mapping here that we give the alias view, and I want to map it to the namespace friend organizer UI view. Now we can just put here a navigation view and we bind its data context property to the navigation view model property of our main view model that is in the data context. I select the list view and I cut it. Now let's go back to the navigation view and here we can reuse the list view. On the navigation view model, we have also a friends property, so the item source property is bound correctly. We don't have a selected item, so let's remove this one for now. The display member path is not first name anymore, as our friends property contains lookup items. The display member path property should be set to display member. That's the property on our lookup item class. Now we are already done. We have this navigation view set up. Now we should be able to run the application and see the friends in the navigation. Here we go, we have 4 friends displayed with first name and last name in the navigation. But when I select something, nothing happens in the details. Now let's adjust the friend data service to load an item by ID, and let's implement the friend detail view model and the friend detail view. Here I've opened the friend data service class. The getAllAsync method returns a list of friends. But in fact we have loaded all the friends already in the navigation. The friend data service should just return a single friend by ID. So let's adjust this method. Instead of a list, we want to return a single friend. And we call the method getByIdAsync, and we take the friend ID as a parameter. Instead of the toListAsync method, I call here the singleAsync method. I want to grab a friend by ID, and the ID should match the friend ID that we got as a parameter. Now let's just copy the signature and let's adjust it in the interface as well. Now we have adjusted the friend data service and we can start to build the friend detail view model. In the view model folder of the UI project, I have already created a friend detail view model class. Let's look at the details. As you can see, the class inherits from view model base. The constructor takes an iFriend data service and stores it in a data service field. We have created the iFriend data service interface in the previous clip. The friend detail view model contains a loadAsync method that takes the friend ID as a parameter. Inside of the method, the getByIdAsync method is called on the data service with that friend ID. The return value is stored directly in the friend property. And here you see we have a friend property that raises the property changed event in the private setter. So nothing complex in this friend detail view model class. Now let's place the cursor behind the class. Let's press Ctrl- to extract an interface. The interface should have the name iFriend detail view model, and I want to extract the method loadAsync. I click OK, and here we have this interface. Now as usual, we go to the bootstrapper in the startup folder to register the class for this interface. So I just copy this line with the navigation view model, and I write here friend detail view model, and I want to use this type whenever an iFriend detail view model is required. Now we can use the friend detail view model in our main view model class. In the main view model, I add another constructor parameter of type iFriend detail view model, and I name that parameter friend detail view model. And I want to store this view model in a property that has the name friend detail view model. So let's scroll down a bit and let's just create that property here. It has the type iFriend detail view model and the name is friend detail view model. Now let's create a friend detail view where we bind to this friend detail view model property. In the previous clip, we have created this friend detail view model property in the main view model. As you might notice, we don't need this setter because we set the property directly in the constructor. Now let's create a friend detail view where we bind to this friend detail view model property. So let's open up the Solution Explorer and let's right-click on the view folder to add a new user control that we call friend detail view. Now let's go to the main window SAML file. In the main window SAML file, we already used the navigation view. It's on the left side in the first column. Now let's add the friend detail view to grid column 1. And let's bind its data context property to the friend detail view model property that is available on the main view model that is in the data context. Now this whole grid that we have here, this goes into the friend detail view. So let's scroll down a bit. Here we have the labels and text boxes for first name, last name and email. So I just cut this whole grid, and now our main window looks really clean. Let's jump over to the friend detail view SAML and let's paste the grid into that user control. Let's scroll up a bit and let's remove this grid column 1 as we don't need it on this root grid. Now the only thing that we need to adjust here is this selected friend binding. When you look at the friend detail view model, you see that the property has the name friend and not selected friend. So let's go back to the friend detail view and let's adjust this. Let's call it friend here, friend on the last name binding and friend on the email binding. Now let's run the application. As you can see, the details are still there, but now they are part of the friend detail view. But when I select a friend, nothing happens in the details. The selected friend is not displayed. For sure nothing is displayed. When we go to the friend detail view model, we have there this load async method, but no one ever calls that method. Somehow the view models need to communicate with each other. The navigation view model needs to say, hey, a friend has been selected, and the friend detail view model then can load that selected friend. So this communication will be part of the next module. Now let's wrap up what you have learned and what we have done in this module. You learned in this module to decouple the UI parts of the Friend Organizer application. Now we have a main window, a navigation view user control, and a friend detail view user control. We have also the corresponding view models, a main view model, a navigation view model, and a friend detail view model. You also created a lookup data service that loads lookup items that have just an ID and a display member property. We use this lookup data service in the navigation view model to load friends only with an ID and a name. The full friends should be loaded by the friend detail view model that uses the friend data service. But when we wanted to do this, we noticed that the navigation view model needs to inform the friend detail view model that a new friend has been selected. And this is exactly what we will implement in the next module, where you learn how you can communicate between the different view models. Welcome to the module Communicating Between View Models. My name is Thomas Claudius Huber. In this module I want to show you how you can set up an event aggregator so that the view models can talk to each other. Let's look at the module outline. We start this module by planning the view model communication of the Friend Organizer application. When we know how the view models should talk to each other, we will introduce Prism's event aggregator and we will set up an event. Then we will publish and subscribe to that event from our view models. Now let's start and let's plan the view model communication. The Friend Organizer application has a navigation view model that loads a list of friends in the form of lookup items. It has also a friend detail view model that loads a single friend. When a friend is selected in the navigation view model, the navigation view model needs to tell the friend detail view model that this friend has been selected. Then the friend detail view model can load the full friend object from the database so that it gets displayed in the friend detail view. To enable the communication between the view models, we will introduce an event aggregator in this module. When a friend is selected in the navigation view model, the navigation view model will publish an event by using the event aggregator. That event will contain the ID of the selected friend. The friend detail view model will subscribe to that event. It will get the ID of the selected friend, and then it can load the full friend object from the database so that it gets displayed in the friend detail view. So far to the theoretical part. Now let's implement it.